Welcome to The Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
You have no idea how connected you truly are. Far beyond what you can see, beyond what you even realize, you are part of an incredible spiritual partnership, one that is guiding, teaching, and awakening you every step of the way. It's exciting to explore the unseen, the mystical, the deeply profound truths of our spiritual existence. And that's why I am thrilled to pieces that we're going to chat with Michael McAdams today, because Michael's walked a path of destiny and purpose his entire life. He's a lifelong seeker of truth. He's really opened his mind and spirit to the highest sources of wisdom, reaching beyond religious boundaries to receive divine guidance. Through years of study, as well as intuitive practice, he's developed a unique ability to receive messages, not only for himself, but for others too, through an ancient technique called psychometry. That's where he can hold an item like a watch in his hand and receive messages with the watch, through the watch. You know that expression, when the student is ready, the teacher appears? Well, it's been so evident throughout Michael's life. Time and time again, he's been guided to individuals, books, experiences that have really deepened his understanding and connection to the divine. But his calling goes way beyond personal enlightenment. His mission is to bridge the gap between biblical faith and spiritual faith, offering insight, clarity, and the messages his mom receives through an angelic connection. Yes, his mom connects with angels. So if you've ever felt a pull towards something greater, if you've sensed whispers of guidance, but you weren't sure how to listen, you're going to love this conversation, because together we're expanding our understanding, opening our hearts, and really awakening that divine connection that has always been inside you. Michael, welcome. I'm so glad you're here today.
Hi, Elaine. How are you? Thank you for having me. And that's one of the best summations of the work that I do that I have ever heard.
Well, I am so thrilled to chat with you today. I know it's going to be a fun, dynamic conversation. I am not super aware and informed and educated on the biblical traditions, and I'm much more in the spiritual camp, and I'm fascinated by someone who can truly speak both languages, so to speak, and be that translator for everyone. So I'm really grateful that you're here today. We're going to make sure that we connect our energy before we dive in, and we're going to do two things to connect that energy. The first thing we're going to do is take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And as we breathe in through the nose, think the words, I am. And as we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. Now, when we're done with those 3 breaths, I'm going to share an intention. And then we're going to hold that intention in silence for 78 seconds. I think I'm the only show that does this, but I teach all my clients how important intentions are. It's kind of like typing into a spiritual GPS. This is what we want to create and how we choose to feel about it. And so we're combining our energy and really connecting us, all of the audience, and the God of our understanding to help us fulfill this intention. Because it's not like we have a script, we're winging it. And when we've got that vibration handled, we're automatically guided to fulfill that intention. Now, holding silence for 78 seconds, I got to tell you, I've struggled with this for years, and I found a couple of techniques that really work. The first one is I'll pick 2 or 3 words out of the intention that just feel high vibration to me. They feel uplifting and empowering. And I just repeat that over and over to myself in silence for those 78 seconds. And then the second thing I do is I notice what's happening with my body, because any kind of movement, like a rush of heat or goosebumps or a feeling of expansiveness, that's just a sign that the God of your understanding has locked into your signal and the journey has begun. So it's great. It's a wonderful signal. Are you ready to play, Michael?
I am ready.
Excellent. Let's breathe together 3 times. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. In love and light, we hold the intention that we tune in to our spiritual connection, welcoming divine guidance to enrich every aspect of our daily lives. Thank you, divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. We give thanks, and so it is. Wow, that was really unusual. This is the first time this has happened for me. I got an image of all these people playing Twister, and it's like they're trying to contort around like they have to be these contortionists to try to fit on the red dot and the green dot, and they're trying to understand and bridge that gap between the traditions of our religious faith and the spiritual messages that are increasingly coming through. Obviously, you're really, really passionate about this, Michael. Why is this a message that is really important to be heard right now?
Well, so many people have a foundation of faith. I'm thankful that I was brought up with a foundation of faith. And the great thing about a foundation is that you can build on it. You can build on that foundation of faith, but you have that positive background. My entire family, I was brought up Pentecostal. You know what Pentecostal is?
Yes, I do.
Evangelical Christian. My grandmother was a Pentecostal pastor, pastored a small Pentecostal church just north of Cincinnati. My uncle was a fiery Pentecostal pastor. He founded churches in Florida, Kentucky, and Ohio. My mother was extremely religious, a daily reader of her Bible. And I have always been more spiritual than religious. But when you have that foundation of faith, that you can bridge that gap. And I've had people tell me, they say, you're the excellent person to be in this work because you can bridge the gap between those with a foundation of faith, religious upbringing, and those with a spiritual nature, spiritual inclination. So spirit guides, spirit teachers are the same thing as angels, just viewed from a different perspective, one religious and one spiritual. And when Wilma was led to sit down in these dedicated sessions and receive, she was spoken to and had messages and teachings dictated to her word for word from spirit teachers from the other side of this physical plane. And it's an amazing body of material.
Oh man, it sounds like it. I have not read it yet, and I'm really fascinated to read it because I totally get it. I get messages from the divine. I get messages from angels. It was really interesting. I was doing dishes a few months ago in my kitchen, and I was just kind of musing over sometimes you're working on something and it comes together really easily. It's no big deal. And then there's other times when you're working on something and it's just a slog. It doesn't matter what you do, you hit problem, roadblock, challenge, issue. It's just so frustrating. And I was kind of wondering why that is. And I immediately felt and heard a very loud, forceful voice in my body that said, when you deny your power is denied to you. When you acknowledge your power is shown to you. You are more powerful than you can imagine. And I was like, oh, I dried my hands and I wrote it down. I'm like, how am I denying my power? What am I doing that might not be acknowledging my power? And I realized that often the words we use diminish us. I am choosing to pick different words these days. I'm eliminating, stumbling over it. I'm eliminating want and try and need, because all three of those bring my energy down. They make it sound like maybe I can't have that. Maybe I can't do that. Maybe I can't experience it. And I really want to hear more of the messages that you've received and that your mom received, because I think this is really the time. It's so important that we start these conversations and understand we're not really talking about radically different things. We're talking about the same thing in slightly different ways.
That's true. That's true. And these messages and teachings that these spirit teachers share, the depth and quality of this information, the way that they speak, is like nothing that I've heard of before. And I've been reading spiritual material for 30 years.
Yeah.
Wilma had received in thought many times, like most all of us are spoken to, we're advised, guided, directed. I wouldn't buy that car if I were you. I'd slow down up ahead if I were you. And Wilma was working around the kitchen one day, not really thinking about anything, and these words started to come into her mind. She knew it was incoming. She picked up pen and paper. She had beautiful handwriting, and she took this down in longhand. And this message was given that she felt was a message given as confirmation she should put these messages and teachings in a book. She had been praying about it. May I share this with you and your audience?
Yes, please. I'd love to hear it.
So this is what she was given. Emptiness is part of fulfillment. Let your resources fill the void left so that distinction of your purpose can be found. Expression is always self-explanatory. Therefore, look inside and anchor all your beliefs beside those still waters that will take away your troubled view and renew your strength to recapture that which was lost, but is now found to be adequate to pursue the course set before you. And as you reconcile your being to represent those qualities that have been left intact, God will see to it that although circumstances have been trying, to say the least, your weariness will disappear as clouds once removed allow the sun to shine to dispel the gloom and darkness that has pervaded your countenance. And as once described before, a token of this presence will be deposited to your account and books recorded in his name.
Wow, that's really profound. I wrote down immediately, emptiness is part of fulfillment. That is so true. That is so true. It's really interesting. I was walking in my neighborhood recently, and I'm on a country road. There are no sidewalks. So whenever a car comes by, we just step to the side, me and my walking buddy, and I wave at people as they go by. I send them off to work and school with love and blessings, and often I can't even see who's in the car because the light hits the windshield just right. And it was interesting. I was waving at a car and they'd gone by, and I felt this rush of intense love for the people in the car, just so much regard for the folks in the car. And I immediately felt them pushing back. saying, well, how can you love me when you don't even know me? And something spoke through me back to them that said, I must love you before I can know you.
Wow.
Yeah. And I kind of picked up on that message again with the excerpt that you just shared with us. That was so profound. I can't wait to get a hold of the information, and I'll make sure that your website is available in the show notes. But could you remind us of your website right now?
Sure. This website is spiritspeaks.com. And when you first go to the website at the top, it says, for all sincere seekers of truth. And then, as you said in your opening, it says, when the student is ready, a teacher will appear. And that has been my path. Being a seeker, you draw people to you that will suggest a movie, a book, a speaker, always allowing you to take that next step on your path. Now, this message that I just read that my mother received is on the back cover of the book. The book is titled, An Angel Told Me So. But how do you know this to be true? An angel told me so. And this message is on the back cover. Now, on the website, there are tabs at the top, bio for myself, bio for my mother, and there's a television interview, a tab for a television interview that my mother gave in Cincinnati. You can scroll down and watch that television interview. She's the pretty lady in white on the left. And posted on her interview, I have added a message from volume 2 of the book, which is not out yet. Now, when she was led to sit down in these dedicated sessions, she had set up an electric typewriter in her kitchen. And she would be led, we have a message for you. She would put a sheet of paper in the typewriter, drop down 5 lines, and indent 5 spaces, just like you were going to do a letter. And she would see 3 or 4 words just float into her mind and hang there. They would not go away until she typed them. Once she typed those 3 or 4 words, they would just fade away, and 3 or 4 more would show up. This was not channeling. This was not automatic writing. She was taking dictation. But this message that's posted on her TV interview, this was the only time in a session where she was led to sit down and receive. 2 different spirit teachers moved in the same session, gave 2 different messages, and signed 2 different names.
Huh. Wow.
And it was obvious that the second teacher was a different teacher than the first, because the whole phrasing, cadence and phrasing of the message is different. And this first teacher's message was just a little more than a long paragraph. May I share this with you and your audience?
Sure, I'm curious. I'd love to know.
It's not very long, but again, this is the manner in which they speak. So the first teacher moved in, and this was his message. There is a resurrection period through which man must travel in order to come into the realm of things godlike. You are to consume and digest all that is given here, as this comes from one highly qualified to meet the needs of this generation. You are not the sole property of yourselves. God still holds the everlasting command over your being, and in him must one take refuge. You are to be considered as one who has been stripped of all belongings and left to die by the wayside. In this manner, are you then open to any help that would be forthcoming? You are by your very nature ones who would depend on your own intellect to carry you through. However, by giving of your soul into the hands of God, you prosper and develop more freely into that which denies the outcome of some situations, knowing full well that it is the hand of God leading and directing you so that you may arise victorious in the end. There is never a time when you will be without the Father, nor his ever-loving approaches to see that you follow the path that directs you homeward. Take note that we say homeward. As your heavenly Father so resides in that vast insurmountable environment of time and space, so shall ye abide in joint communication with him by the grace with which he covers you and by your ability to accept this grace and use it for your own development. There are others here who wish to make themselves known to you, so I will step aside for this time. My love and devotion follows you as you trod onward but ever faithful to your goal.
Oh, I love it.
That message was signed, Your Loving God.
Wow, beautiful.
Now, the next last line is the line that perks my attention. And he says, there are others here who wish to make themselves known to you.
Yeah.
My question is, who are the others and where is here? What do you mean there are others here? Where are you in relation to us on this physical plane?
Yeah, it is fascinating, isn't it? And I can go there with you, but I have to ask you a question that I ask every single guest on my show. I've never had the same answer twice, which I love. But given the kind of work that you're doing and your passion for really being able to bridge the gap, how would you define abundance?
I think abundance can be described in different ways, but I was doing a book signing and a presentation in Lilydale, New York. Did you ever hear of Lilydale?
I haven't.
It is the world's oldest and largest community of spirit mediums and readers. Been around since 1877, 60 miles south of Buffalo. Buffalo, New York is Niagara Falls. And I was doing a book signing, and this woman had brought her daughter, I think she was 18, for her birthday. And at 18 years old, she wanted to go to Lilydale. And I asked her what she had asked for her birthday, and she said enlightenment. And I thought for 18 years old, that's pretty advanced for an 18-year-old to ask for enlightenment and be in this work that early. Now, earlier than I started, I was probably in my early 20s before I actually became more spiritual, although I always had questions. So as far as abundance goes, I think if you're abundant, if you can have that enlightenment, that sense of knowing. I read a post just recently, and it said, I don't want to just believe, I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who have had a foundation of faith for so long are at the point where they're ready to learn more, see actual messages and teachings dictated from spirit teachers from the other side, and know, not just believe, not just have faith, but know that we're not only not alone, but then when we cross over, there's a spiritual realm that we will then participate in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so much rich meat in this. But I want to move the conversation forward a little bit further, because I think often we get stuck in our lives. Things will be going great, and then after a while, we just hit a roadblock of some sort. What do you think is happening when we hit those roadblocks, and how can we get out of them?
Well, we're all a product of our choices and decisions. And we may be on a path, but we make choices and decisions that take us off on a tangent. And so one thing leads to another, and suddenly you may be at a dead end. You may be blocked. And if you're being blocked, it's happening for a reason, because you've gone off your path. You've gone off on a tangent. And I believe that if we stay connected to our spirit teachers and listen to their guidance, direction, support, but we have that pesky little thing called free will. And we can accept or reject any advice, guidance, or direction that we're given. And for people to be able to tune in, usually when you're not thinking about anything, driving in the car, radio turned off, and thoughts will come into your mind. And you should pay attention to that. Now, incoming thoughts have a subtle feel, a difference in feel than thoughts that you think. But once you can recognize that difference, you're able to tune in and connect with your own spirit teachers. And it makes life a lot easier.
Wow. Okay. So you went there, and I'm super excited you did, because obviously a lot of us want to enhance that relationship, enhance that connection. Now, I found it was really interesting because I was blessed on New Year's Day 2005 to have a stroke. And during my stroke, I had a conversation with our higher power, with God. And I got a complete download about how everything works and why we're alive, how we can live our best life, and what happens next after this life. And I came out of the stroke with absolutely no damage and very clear instructions that I had to share what I'd learned. And it kind of freaked me out, because every time I would ask a question, I'd get so much back. It was like swallowing Google whole. And so it's taken me a while to figure out, how do I parse this into a logical sequence that makes sense to the human mind such that other people can do this too. Now, I've noticed that every time I want my outside world to change, something has to shift inside me so that I have a different perspective, I have a different outlook, I have a different mindset. You were able to develop, I'm going to say it wrong. How do you say that? It's to psychometry, right? Psychometry?
Well, yeah, psychometry. I had a table to group called Psychic World years ago. And psychometry is really just a way to hold any object that carries a person's vibration. And I was able to get messages. I had a legal tablet, and I wouldn't pump them for information, ask them questions, just ask them their first name. And I didn't feel that I was doing anything special. I think we're all capable of receiving in that manner. It was really just a matter of clearing your thoughts, holding an object that carried their vibration, and you would get a message from their spirit teacher. And any psychic, any reader that you would go to, people are curious, any psychic worth their salt is going to tell you that this is not me. This is not me receiving, or this is not me giving you this information. This information is coming from your spirit teacher, your spirit guide. And like I said, we're all capable of tuning in. It's just a matter of paying attention. And then one other quick thing, I've talked to people, you share this information, especially people with a foundation of faith, and oh no, I don't want to deal with any of that. I don't deal with spirits. I'm afraid. That's something I don't want to mess with. And you have to let people know that we're not talking about any spirits or ghosts, or if you've seen the movie Casper, ghosts are just, spirits with unfinished business. Spirit teachers are angels, and anyone with a foundation of faith should be able to accept that spirit teachers are angels, just viewed from a different perspective. They're all God's direct representatives.
Ah, so true, so true, so beautiful. And yes, everybody can access them. There's a wonderful little book called Hiring the Heavens. It's really short, small frame, small size. And basically the author is saying there's gazillions of angels out there, and they are bored to tears. They've got nothing to do. And they would be more than happy to help you out, but you have to speak to them out loud. And they work inexpensively. They work for thank yous. So I like to hire angels all the time. And my favorite angels are attitude adjustment angels. I hire an attitude adjustment angel for me first, and then for every single person that I'm going to encounter or impact today. And what they do is they help me focus on little tiny things that I enjoy and savor in my life. So how wonderful fresh water tastes, how great my pen works. And I love how easy it is to use, how much fun I get to have chatting with you today, Michael. It's the little things. So what happens is other things are going on that might be irritating. I'm having a thunderstorm right now. My internet could go out. So I could choose to freak out about that. But instead, with attitude adjustment angels, it keeps me focused on what is working in my life, the blessings that are already present right now, waiting for me to notice them. And when I do, all that other stuff, those minor irritations, they're either ridiculously funny or I don't even notice them. They don't even bother me. So yeah, we have the ability to interact and engage with the angels, but it was really funny because the other day I'd gone to the grocery store and I'm just one freeway exit away. I just have to go one freeway exit to get back to my house. And so I'm in the parking lot and I'm talking to the angels and I said, okay, I'd like a really safe, easy ride home on the freeway today. So when I merged on, it turned out there were 2 accidents and we crawled at 5 miles an hour. It was very safe. It was very easy, but it was not very fast. They definitely have a sense of humor.
Well, the spirit teachers that people have, their joy, these spirit teachers' joy is in our recognition of their existence. And they serve us, they serve God by serving us. And one of the things that I was going to mention in your introduction, you had focused on intentions.
Yes.
And when this first spirit teacher moved out, who said I will step aside for this time, another spirit teacher moved in and gave a page and a half, pretty deep, profound teaching. But all of these messages in the book, they either end with a profound last sentence or a deep, profound last paragraph. And this second teacher's message, the second teacher that moved in, he gave just a really powerful message. But this last paragraph deals with what you talked about. May I share this with your audience?
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
So this was the second teacher that moved in. This was the last paragraph of his message. You are not as sheep herded here and there, but you are likened unto the lamb that is cared for individually, nourished and loved until the full and total development allows it to be master of itself. So is man so kept and denied only those things that would not in the long run nourish his spirit. God is all wise and loving in his dispensations. We are not to judge the workings of our Father, nor are we to judge each other. Work always to improve your own beings, for in the end time, there lies your soul, with all the nourishment that you have given it, totally dependent upon the outcome of your intentions.
Oh, beautiful.
And that message was signed with a different teacher's name. It was signed, your loving spiritual teacher.
Wow, beautiful. So beautiful. And yes, I do find that intention, what I want to create and how I choose to feel about it, that really is, it's like I'm collaborating with the divine. It feels a lot like a spiritual GPS. As I say, this is where I'd like to go. And then I'm not sure how I'm going to get there from here, but I receive guidance. I receive a book falls off the shelf, in the bookstore for me to read. I happen to have a chance encounter with somebody in a fabulous conversation. It's really interesting how we are always guided. Now, you were talking about enlightenment, and I agree with you. Enlightenment, and to me, a component of enlightenment is increasing your spiritual connection. It is a level of understanding, and yet I discovered through my stroke and that incredible conversation with God that there are, in many situations, there are no words in the human language that can accurately express the higher realms effectively. At least I haven't been able to come up with words. And so I find that it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing expansion. What do you feel are one or two little baby steps that we could take that would enhance that spiritual connection?
Well, the first thing that people should do anytime that they're opening their mind, you want to establish an aura of protection around your being. And there are affirmations that you can say, whatever you decide to do. You don't have to drop down in heavy meditation. You don't have to assume a yoga pose. You can just do it quietly in your mind. But you're establishing a protection around you that allows no negative thoughts to permeate your system, your thought system. And each of us has a thought system, like a mini solar system within our minds, made up of everything that we think, that we do, that we see, that we interact with. And that is the best way that people can establish that connection. And then just listen, pay attention. If you need to write it down, you can. And the Bible says, test the spirit. And these spirit teachers, they have no problem taking a quiz. They're fine with, try us with the little things first. What is it that you need? What is it that you desire? And they said Jesus answers all prayers. Sometimes the answer is no, because they know that that's not going to be in our best interest to get what we're asking for. So that's the best way to do it, is just establish that aura of protection so that when you open your mind, and any negative thoughts, any thoughts that you don't think that are negative, that you don't want, just surround those with a container and send them out into the deepest part of the universe. You have control over your thought system. You can accept or reject any thought, idea, or information that comes into your mind. And you accumulate the positive thoughts and you completely do away with the negative thoughts.
I love it. I love it. Man, I could keep you here all day, Michael, because I'm loving this conversation. It's really rich. It's really meaty. It's really amazing. I am definitely going to go and check out your website. I'm definitely going to get a copy of the book because this is really profound and it's so relevant. It's so needed right now. Now, one of the things that we like to do here at the Abundance Journey, we always turn the tables on our guests because we know that when we give is when we truly receive the most. So what's something that we could do to support you?
Well, my purpose in doing these interviews is to let people know that we have these spirit teachers, spirit guides that work with us, that help us on our journey. And this journey is fleeting. We may live to be 30, 40 years old. We may live to be 80, 85. And I tell people, I said, there is no death. We never really die. It's just graduation. We ride around in these bodies the way we ride around in our cars. These bodies are just a vehicle to negotiate this physical plane. And when our physical body wears out and we cross over, then I believe, we may go to an evaluation center where we get to look back and see how we treated people, how we handled ourselves, and then we may be reassigned to another set of parents in another social station. And if you're open to that, then you're open to reincarnation.
Yeah, it's really interesting because during my stroke, they asked me a rhetorical question. They said, so everything is love. The chair you're sitting in is love. The computer you're on is love. You are love. The God of your understanding is love. So how do you expand love if everything is already love? I was like, I have no idea. And they said, well, we decided to create human beings who do not think that everything is love. You get to experience contrast, the difference between what is wanted and what is not wanted. And that friction gives you an opportunity of choice. You either step back in fear and staying in your comfort zone, or you step forward with grateful curiosity and love. And every time you step forward, you expand the divine. This is the expansion joint for God. This is how God grows. And so it is a rock star place to be because it's so dynamic. It's so challenging. And it's supposed to be. It's not about continually being in alignment. It's about we go in and out of alignment. And every time we notice we're out of alignment with the God of your understanding, you pop back in. And that could be prayer, it could be meditation, whatever works for you to reestablish that connection, that partnership, that awareness. And that's the whole point, because every time you shift back, you're expanding the divine. I was just blown away by that. And that's why they said, you've been physical many times in the past and you will be physical many times in the future. You're like a surfer. You love to catch the wave. And sometimes they're big, hairy, gnarly waves. And sometimes they kind of peter out. But you love the experience. You love the process. And you're providing a huge service to spirit by being physical. So why wouldn't you?
Well, that's exactly the point. And you're given so much information. You have access with spirit teachers, the information that they share, they know, what you're going through, what you're dealing with. When I was first looking for a publisher, I was on a number of different publisher websites. One of the websites asked questions about your work. One of the questions was, what makes your material unique? Why would anyone want to read this? I thought that was a great question. And I was sitting where I'm sitting right now at my computer. I didn't really even ask for an answer, but an answer started to be dictated to my mind. It was 12 lines long, and I just typed it down as it was given. May I share that answer with you?
I'd love to hear it. Yeah, please.
So the question was, what makes your material unique? And this is the answer that I was given. The uniqueness of any material is in the manner in which it touches the soul. An open and searching mind pulls the soul and the body in which it inhabits onward and upward with hunger and determination in its quest for spiritual nourishment ever mindful that the path upon which we walk is the path toward God. Lives lived, experiences endured, goals accomplished, and loved ones lost are all encounters upon that path. Strive always for the highest possible communication with our Heavenly Father. Believe in yourself, as the Father within you is guiding, leading, directing, and comforting you upon this journey that we call life. Blessings be upon you as you walk your chosen pathway.
Oh, beautiful. Man, oh man, I could keep you here all day, Michael. And you've given me a real challenge because I've got several pages of notes from this conversation, and I have to pick just one to do the Activate Abundance segment around. So you're making things a little challenging, but in a very good way. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to share this information.
Absolutely. Wow. How incredible. How wonderful the work that you're doing. It is so needed and so valuable. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
And if people are interested, the book is An Angel Told Me So. The book is available on my website, spiritspeaks.com. It's available through Barnes & Noble system. It's available through any bookstore in the country. Ingram is my national distributor. So anybody that's interested, and we talked about the painting that I have at home.
Yeah.
And in that painting, there's 5 hidden messages. It's on the website. Scroll down to the home, on the middle of the home page, take the journey through the painting and find the hidden messages.
Excellent. I can't wait to do that. So exciting. Oh, man. A spiritual version of Where's Waldo? I love it. All right, stick around because we're going to activate abundance in just a moment.
Thank you, Elaine.
Hi, it's Elaine Starling, the Abundance Ambassador, and I know since you're listening to this show or watching this show, The Abundance Journey, you really want to experience more abundance in your life. Well, that's why I wrote the book, 5 Steps to Activate Your Abundance. It's available for sale right now from Amazon, from barnesandnoble.com, and many international sellers. And I want you to pick up a copy because I'm really opening the kimono here and sharing all of the information you need to experience abundance in every single aspect of your life. The book's divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is called Meeting the Divine. This is where I share my near-death experience and the conversation I got to have with our higher power during my stroke. In Part 2, Messages from the Divine, I share the best practices that I was given, the secret sauce in how life actually works. And so you understand really why you're here and how you can make the most of your life so you love every single moment. And then in the Part 3 is Partnering with the Divine. That's where I go into each of the 5 steps to activate your abundance and explain exactly why it works so well. So take a moment to pick up a copy. It's available as an ebook, a paperback book, an audiobook, and a video course. So however you like to absorb information, abundance is waiting for you. Wow, Michael was amazing. I love where he's coming from. I love how articulate the messages are. I mean, it's so profound when you realize just how connected we are. You have access at your fingertips anytime you choose to notice the connection. Angels are with you all the time. God is with you all the time. I love it. I love it. So step 1 to activate abundance is always gratitude. And I'm super grateful to Michael for taking the time to share his brilliance with us. That was just amazing. So step 1 is gratitude. Step 2 is to acknowledge something you heard that was an aha for you. I think this was maybe one of the very best definitions of abundance I've ever heard. I was blown away. Michael's like, really abundance is about enlightenment. And I love that concept because to me, enlightenment is really about having a robust and broad and deep connection to the divine, to the God of your understanding. That's truly what enlightenment is. And that is the ultimate in abundance, to know how wonderful that relationship is, to have total knowledge, understanding, awareness, enjoyment in your partnership with the divine. That's like, wow, we're definitely talking abundance through the roof and then some. So step 2 is to acknowledge something you heard that was an aha for you. Step 3 is to appreciate the difference it can make in your life. Well, when I realize that enlightenment, that enriched relationship with the God of your understanding, is really the ultimate in abundance, then I'm not sweating the small stuff. Right? It's so interesting to me because a lot of people freak out about money. Where's the money? Yesterday would be great. Well, money is the energy of gratitude. Money is the energy of gratitude. You pay your electric bill because you're grateful to have electricity, right? If you didn't like electricity, you probably wouldn't be paying for it. So everything in your life associated with money is always about gratitude. And when I'm enlightened, I'm aware of more things I can be grateful for, including being grateful for myself. That's the biggest part that most of us miss. We forget that we need to honor ourselves and praise ourselves and recognize ourselves for how we are showing up. So, step 1 is gratitude. Step 2 is to acknowledge something that was an aha for you. Step 3 is to appreciate the difference it can make in your life. Step 4 is to activate it. This is where we take the concept and we turn it into tangible physical reality. Now, I found 3 ways that really make this happen. The first way to activate something is to schedule time to get it done. Well, enlightenment is not a one and done kind of thing. It's really an ongoing thing. I still consider scheduling time to get it done to be relevant because this is also where I schedule time to pray and meditate and journal. And so when I journal and I write down the messages that I'm receiving, the stories that are coming through, the images like playing Twister, right? That's when I can get an objective perspective on it and the real messages come into stark relief so I can experience what is truly meant by the divine. So definitely, first step is schedule time to get it done. Second way to activate abundance is to use a physical trigger like crossing your fingers or tugging on your earlobe. It's a reminder, you know what? It's all about the enlightenment. That's what's going on here. Everything is an opportunity for enlightenment. When I'm open to it and I'm ready to receive it as enlightenment. But I put those sunglasses on. I'm putting my enlightenment sunglasses on. So every conversation I have, every experience, just walking down the street, everything I notice is part of my enlightenment enrichment. And that shifts everything for me. But it's up to me to remind myself with that little physical trigger, crossing my fingers or tugging on my earlobe. So I'm continually reminding myself, this is enlightenment. This is for my enlightenment. This is all about enlightenment. Okay? Become a habit. The third way to activate something is to work with what I call an abundance buddy. It's an accountability buddy. This is somebody who really knows you and gets you. And they're like, I get it. You truly want to turn everything into enlightenment and see it, view it, filter it, experience it as a form of enlightenment. So I'm going to call you on it when I see you not behaving in a terribly enlightened way. I just want you to know so I can help keep you honest. Because sometimes we get triggered, we get caught in our own stuff, we get distracted, and we forget those things that are so important to us, like enlightenment. All right, step 5, celebrate your progress. This is such an incredibly exciting journey that we are on. This amazing spiritual journey and unfolding that happens in every moment of every day. You are such an incredible blessing, and you are blessed. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.